And consistency is, in my opinion, a superpower.
Yeah.
Like, I consider one of my greatest strengths as a person to be my consistency.
Yeah.
My consistency with my sleep schedule, with my hydration, with my exercise routine, with my diet, with my business, right, as a personal trainer, and now having started a podcast. Like, I set out to record one podcast episode every week for a year.
Yeah.
That's how I started this journey of the All-Star Athlete podcast.
Yeah.
And to this point, I've pretty much held myself to that.
Yeah. You've had a lot of really great people with a lot of really great stories on it, and it's just going to keep building up until you have a collection of so many people's stories, all together. It's consistency.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you said that, because that reminds me of another quote. I believe it was by Alex Hormozy. Oh, it was confidence. Which is related. It's related. The quote was, I believe I'm getting this right, confidence is not shouting affirmations at yourself in a mirror. Confidence is building an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are. So in other words, like, I could say things to myself in the mirror, and historically, like, positive affirmations and positive self-talk and these sorts of things, I think that those do build confidence.
Yeah.
But I think it was 2 podcasts ago, the episode with Quinn Rodden, he's an endurance athlete. He runs like ultra marathons. Ooh. So to your point about triathlons and marathons and these sorts of things,
that's cool.
He was the one that said that quote to me, and that really stuck with me, because building an undeniable stack of proof that you are who you say you are, right? If you do a bunch of things in your life, you are eventually going to have a history of achievements that say that really state who you are. Yeah. So with your physical fitness, for example, if you want, like, to bring this full circle back to the idea of running competing in a triathlon. If you step by step pursue swimming and cycling and running, and first you start with 1/8 of the distance that you would need to do to compete in a triathlon, and then you succeed at that, and then you move to doing 1/6 or 1/4 of the distance required, and you build your way up, you can lean back on each one of those accomplishments building up to the amount of length that would be required to do the full thing. And you can do it.
It's cool.
So those are things that kind of really stuck out with me.
Well, and they even have like mini triathlons and stuff too, so that you don't have to jump into the like full thing. And with anything, like, I even said that I started running last year. A friend and myself, we made the goal to start jogging together, and we both started 5Ks, and our goal was to do 1 5K a month for the whole year. We did it until I moved to San Diego, and then it kind of fell off. But it was funny, because if you looked at our social media and stuff, you would have thought we were preparing for a marathon. Her and I took it so serious. We were rolling out the night before. We were carb loading. We were getting up early. We were stretching. We'd have like breakfast. We did all the things that marathon runners did for a 5K. And it sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I'm like, I feel like the foundation there, if I would have stayed to running, those 5Ks would have turned to 10Ks. The 10Ks would have turned to half marathons, the half marathons to marathons, and then I would have already had the good habits built around it. So
correct. And that's exactly what I talked about with Quinn in his episode, which I believe was 2 episodes ago. That's how he got started doing ultra marathons, which I probably had heard of before.
I've never obviously like done anything like that, but I watch a lot of documentaries on ultra marathoners, and I follow a lot of them on social media. And I think the mental behind that is so just like beautiful. I don't even know how to describe it. Like, how do you stay awake for 24 hours running,
Well, I guess you'll just have to go back and listen to that episode then to find out. It was actually really informative. But to your point about the running the 5Ks consistently, and also going back to what I said a few minutes ago about consistency being a superpower.
Yeah.
You said it exactly right. You start doing 5Ks every month, and then maybe those turn into 10Ks. Now that's doubling the distance.
Yeah.
So maybe that's a bit of a leap. And maybe you can't even start at running a 5K. Let's say you're listening to this podcast right now and you don't run at all.
Yeah.
Well, the first step to running is walking. If you're not walking, first walk to run.
Yeah.
The second thing is go run a quarter of a mile every day, or once, then run a half a mile.
And I feel like the beautiful thing now is they've adjusted these 5Ks to be really friendly toward walkers too.
Yep.
It's not a community where they're like, you have to run or else you're not allowed. 5K is a small enough distance where people can comfortably walk them and still finish in a reasonable time. And so it's almost turned into this really welcoming social event. So I went for the running. I stayed for the social aspect.
Yeah, and I would say to the point that I was making about kind of building up into doing something bigger, start by running a quarter mile, then run a half mile, then run 3/4 of a mile, then run one, right? And I don't need to keep beating a dead horse here. You get the point of just like incrementally increase how much you're running.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a challenge, right? You're going to need to challenge your body.